Right. Last week we discussed sources of law. There we have 2 slides that we have to discuss. We will do that after this lesson because there's a technical difficulty that we can't get the previous slideshow. So therefore, I will start with this. Can you see the screen? Can someone respond to me? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Okay, thank you. Then you can mute your mics. I'll start. Today we are going to discuss contract law. Right. What is a contract? First slide that I have given here, a diagram, a picture, how this contract law or issue in a contract law process, right? So first quadrant that you can see, the parties enter into a contract. So we are discussing about a contract law issue. What is the first step of this issue? Parties enter into a contract, right? I will give a simple example, right? Say, what is a contract? Contract is an agreement between 2 or more parties, right? You can have your paper and pens ready, right? Whatever you want, you can note down, because this slides only a guideline for this lecture. So there are 4 additional things that you have to write down, right? A contract is an agreement between 2 or more parties. You can't have a contract alone. At least minimum that you need 2 parties, right? So we'll get a simple contract, well-known contract, right? We'll get marriage. Marriage is a contract, right? So the first step, so parties enter into a contract, right? Man and a woman enter into a marriage contract. That's the first step, right? Then I have put an arrow to your right hand side, right? After parties entering into the contract, the second quadrant says parties have to perform their duties under the contract. That is the second step. Now think about a marriage, right? Man and a woman enter into a marriage contract. So after entering into the contract, the man has duties towards his wife. Wife has duties towards her husband. So both parties, this is a 2-party contract, both parties has to perform their duty under the contract. That is the second step. Then the next one, right? What will happen now? As long as parties perform their duty, there's no issue, right? Think about normal marriage life. As long as parties, that is the husband and wife, they perform their duties, there's no issue. Issues arise when one party or both parties breach contract or breach to perform their duties, right? That is the third one. I have put arrow there, right? Breach of contract. Breach of contract means one or more parties breach the terms or duties under the contract. That is the third step. Then when a contract is breached, what do you do? If you are the innocent party, what do you do? Right? Think about a normal marriage. If the marriage life is broken, then what do you do? Parties go to courts and file a case, right? File a case by aggrieved party. Innocent party go to courts and file action, right? In a marriage contract, when a marriage is broken, the innocent party go to courts and file a divorce case. Right? This is a simple example that I take, right? Not a commercial transaction, no banking transaction. Just to understand the principle, I take this example, a simple example, well-known example, known to everyone, right? So then you file action to go in courts. What do you want from court? What is the remedy that you? What are the remedies that you want from the courts? Right? So you go to courts, you file action, and you then ask remedies, relief from courts. In a divorce matter, what are the relief that you seek? You ask from courts. You want a divorce. Then you want damages. And sometimes if you have kids, then you want the custody of kids. Then if there are properties involved, you want properties. Those are the remedies that you want in a divorce matter. The same thing or same procedure or same steps that you follow in a complicated business or commercial transaction also. Initially, company A, company B enter into a contract. Then under the contract, parties that company A and company B has to perform duties. For example, we say party A party enter into a contract with a party B company who is in abroad to supply food, right? Buyer in Sri Lanka enter into a contract with the seller in England to purchase goods. So Sri Lankan party send money, and the party in England has to send their goods. That is performance of duties. Then third one party paid the value of the goods, but when the goods comes to Sri Lanka, the Sri Lankan company realized that the goods are not in good quality. So they are unhappy. That's a breach of contract. So then the company, the innocent company or the buyer in Sri Lanka can file action in courts and ask damages from the company who sold the goods. So that's a commercial transaction. This can apply to even banking. Customer and banker enter into a contract. Both parties have their duties. They have to perform their duties. One party breach. We say customer breach. Customer obtain a loan, customer default, don't pay. So then it's a breach. Banks go to courts and file action against the customer to recover the money. Right? That is the procedure, or those are the steps that we have to follow in a contract law issue. Contract issue. Right? We'll go to the next one. Right? The first, now we'll take one by one and we'll discuss the legal principles related to this contract law. First, we have to see what is a contract. What is a contract? The next one that I have given here, the element of legally enforceable contract. Elements of legally enforceable contract. Now, when I say this, remember the contracts, right? All the contracts that we enter with others are not legally enforceable. You have to remember that, right? Contracts that initially that you can divide into two categories. Some contracts, that's a category number one, not legally enforceable. Nitiya idiriye balatmaka kala nohaki. Not enforceable in courts, not enforceable in law. There are other type of contracts, right? The second type of contracts are legally enforceable contracts. That means when it is breached, that you can go to courts and you can enforce. Those are the two types of contracts that we enter. Take a simple example, right? So every day we enter into a contract. Knowingly or without intention, we enter into contracts. Now think about your family, right? Your family. You enter into a contract with your family members, right? So if, for example, we say now your father, your dad, agree to give you a gift, a car as a gift if you pass the exam. You say you have passed the exam. You passed the exam, but whatever the reason, father is happy that you have passed, but he can't afford to buy a car. So he now breached the contract. He has breached the contract. What do? Now you are the innocent party. You have performed your duty. You have worked hard. You have studied. You have faced the exam and you have passed. So your part you have performed. Now the other party, the father, dad, has to perform his duty. So he has to buy a gift for you, a car. So he say, I am happy, son, I am happy, daughter, but you know that I can't afford that this time. So we'll see in future, if possible, I will buy you a car. It's a clear breach now. It's a clear breach. So what do you do? Do you go to courts and file action against your father? Right? You don't. You have not seen. Why? Why? Can't you go and file action in courts? Legally. We are talking about the legal position. The answer is you can't. You can't. Right? There is a contract, but contract is breached, but still you can't go to courts and file action. Reason is this. Reason is the contract that you entered with your father is not a legally enforceable contract. It's not a legally enforceable contract. Clear? That's why that you can't go to courts against your father on this contract. Right. Take another example. Right? You or your friend borrow money from you. A friend. Right? He promised to pay the money, say 1 billion. Right? He promised to pay the money with interest within 6 months' time. So now you lend money. He enjoyed the money. Right? He enjoyed the benefit. Now after 6 month period, he says, I'm sorry, I don't have money to pay. I can't repay. So what do you do? Can you go to courts and file action against your friend? The answer is yes. Answer is yes. Right? Why in this situation that you can file action against your friend? Firstly, that you have entered into a contract with your friend and that contract is legally enforceable contract. That contract has breached by the friend, so therefore you can go to courts and file action against him. Right? Now, those are the two types of contract that we enter. Legally enforceable contract and legally not enforceable contracts. Now, when I say this, right, don't think or don't remember like this. Any contract that you enter with your family member is non-enforceable contract. That is wrong. I just gave you an example, right? So even with your family members that you can enter into a legally enforceable contract, right? Whether the contract that you entered is legally enforceable contract or not, that you have to decide on legal principles that we are going to discuss later now, right? So just don't look at the parties of the contract and decide it's a legally enforceable contract or it is not a legally enforceable contract. You have to decide based on the legal principle, right? Now we go to the slide. Element of a legally enforceable contract, right? When you have a contract, to decide whether that contract is legally enforceable or not, you have to decide based on these elements. If these elements are there, you can see 7 elements are there. If these 7 elements are there in the contract, that contract is legally enforceable. Legally enforceable. Otherwise, the contract is there, but the contract is not legally enforceable. Right? Clear, everyone? Right? See, when you get a question in the Excel, right? They will give you a question, they will give you a case study, right? So what you have to do is pick the facts of the case or the question and see whether these 7 elements are there. If 7 elements are there, that is a contract legally enforceable contract. That is a legally enforceable contract. Otherwise, even one single element is not there out of these 7 elements, that contract is not legally enforceable contract. Don't say that is not a contract. That is a contract. The difference here is that contract is not legally enforceable because even one single element is not there. Right? Okay. Now we see what are the elements. First element is the agreement. Agreement. One by one we will discuss, right? Then the second one is the intention. Intention. The first one, agreement, we call in Sinhala ekagatawe. Right? The next one, intention. Intention. Adahasa. Chetana. Third one, consideration or justa causa. Consideration, in Sinhala we call it pratishtava. Justa causa is a Latin word. It's coming, the justa causa applies to the contract governed under Roman Dutch law. Justa consideration applies to contract governs by English law. That we are going to discuss later. Then the contractual capacity. The capacity of the parties to enter into the contract. Next element. The fifth element is legality of the contract. Nityanukula bhave. Then the sixth one, true consent. Sabay kamatta, true consent. Seventh element is form or formation. Sakas karagarima ennatham nirmane kiri. Right? That is, those are the 7 elements of a legally enforceable contract. Clear? So far, good. If you have any questions, you can switch on your mic and you can ask the question then and there. Right? If anyone have any question up to now? Clear? Okay. Then I'll go to the next one. Right, we'll get one by one. The first element of a legally enforceable contract is the agreement. Right? You think about any contract, a simple contract, a complicated contract, a complicated international contract, commercial contract, banking contract, any contract. The first element is the agreement. Take a simple contract. Take the same example that I gave, marriage. Right? Before you enter into the marriage contract, parties comes to an agreement. Right? Parties come to agreement. So one has to propose, the other one has to accept to live as a husband and wife. Right? They come into agreement. So that is the first step of any contract. Now that applies to the other contracts also, complicated commercial contract. Right? One party asks something, the other party accepts it. Then parties come into an agreement. Agreement is the first element of the contract. Right? What is an agreement? What is an agreement? Agreement is offer plus acceptance. Offer plus accept. One party make an offer, the other party accept the offer. When the offer is accepted by the other party, agreement creates. Agreement creates. The first element creates. Right? So what? Now we'll take one by one. What is offer? What is offer? In Sinhala we call arpanaya, offer. Right? One party make an offer. Offer, what is an offer? Offer is a promise capable of acceptance to be bound on a particular terms. Offer is a promise. The person who makes the offer, we call him the offeror. Offeror. He makes a promise. He makes a promise. The features of the promise, this promise or the offer, it can be accepted by the other party. By the other party, right? One party asks, would you like to marry me? I will look after you. That's a promise. But it can be accepted. The offeror make the offer, the other party can accept. If other party accept, agreements, an agreement creates, right? So remember this interpretation. Offer is a promise, it's capable of acceptance, and the intention of the party is to bound themselves under the agreement. Then the offer is set of terms upon the offeror willing to enter into a contract relation with the offeree. The offeror make the offer to the offeree, right, with the intention of bind himself with the offeree under a contract. So he gives basic conditions or basic terms that he would like to enter into the contract with the offeree. As soon as it has been accepted by the offeree, a legally binding agreement forms between the offeror and the offeree. Agreement creates. That is the first element of the contract, right? Okay, any questions? If you have, you can disturb and ask, right? Next, we'll go one by one. We'll take now offer, right? To whom you can make offer. To whom you can make offer, right? If I'm an offeror, I can make an offer to a particular person. Right? We'll say that I am selling this pen. We say it's my pen. I am the owner. So I want to sell this pen. Right? I can make an offer. Right? So I can make an offer like this. Right? Kamal, I would like to sell this pen for 50 rupees to you. Right? That is a promise I made to Kamal. And it has some terms. What are the terms? The price is mentioned. My intention to sell this pen is mentioned. And it is addressed to, it's a promise addressed to Kamal, which is capable of acceptance. Kamal can accept. So it is an offer. The unique feature of this offer is it is addressed to a particular person. It's addressed to a particular person. Right? So offer can be addressed to one person, a particular person. That's one method or one way that you can make an offer. The other method, so other way, right? Say, I can make an offer like this. Right? I have a pen. I make this pen, right? I make this offer to you, to the class, right? So, say now you are in the class, right? I say, I would like to sell this pen to the student of this class. Any student of this class. Now that is also an offer. Right? I am the owner, I am the offeror, I make the offer. Right? I say for 50 rupees. Price is given, the conditions are there. This is a promise to sell and it is capable of acceptance. It is addressed to not a particular person, a person. It is addressed to a group of people. A group of people. What is a group? Group is the class. The class. Any one of your class can accept. Any one of the class can accept this offer. right? Nobody else other than the student of this class can accept this offer because it is not addressed to any other person, it is addressed to the class. So that type of offer, we call it offer to a group. Offer to a group, particular group, right? That is the second method that I can make an offer. We'll see, there's another method that I can make an offer, right? I say I am the owner of this pen, so I make an offer like this. I would like to sell this pen for 50 rupees. Third type of offer, right? So what is that? It is addressed to whom? Not to a particular person, or not to a particular group of people. It is addressed to the entire world, If I put this to the internet, any person in the world can accept this offer. Even a person in America, he wants to buy this pen from me, so he can accept. Because this particular offer is not addressed to a particular person, it's not addressed to a particular group of people, it is addressed to the entire world. So anyone in the world can accept it. Any one person. Once it is accepted, the offer is over. No one else can accept. Because once the offer accepted, agreement creates, offer comes to end. So what you have to remember is offer, we can classify into three rather, right? Offer can be made to a particular person, offer can be made to a particular group of people, or an offer can be made to the world at large. If it is an offer addressed to a particular person, this is very important. I believe that you are note down these things, right? Right? If an offer is addressed to a particular person, only that person can accept the offer. Example, if the offer is addressed to Kamal, only Kamal can accept. If Kamal accepts, then there is a contract between me and rather an agreement between me and Kamal. We say Kamal is not there, but Nimal sees my offer and he accepts. Offer is addressed to Kamal. Kamal is not present, but Nimal is present. Nimal accept. Can Nimal accept it? And there is no legal agreement between me and Nimal, even Nimal accepting, because not addressed to him, it's addressed to a particular person. Right? Now you see, right? You can be given a big issue, a commercial transaction, a case study that with all the facts and figures, a complicated matter. You have to decide whether there is a contract or not. A simple point. We say company A make an offer to company B, right? And they send an email, right? And they have typed the email address erroneously, and the email has gone to company C instead of company B. Company C accept the offer. Now the question is whether there is a legally valid agreement. Answer is simple. There is no legally enforceable contract because there is no agreement between A and C, because the offer was addressed to particular company named B. The B has not accepted C has accepted. So the acceptance is not valid. So therefore, the contract is not valid. You see, very simple point, right? But you have to think a lot. You have to think. If an offer is addressed to a particular group of people, example, the second type that I told you, addressed to a particular group, students of this class, right? No one else can accept, only one person from this class can accept the offer. Once it is accepted, offer comes to end, agreement creates, right? And the third type is offer addressed to the world at large. That can be accepted any person in the world, any person in the world. So those are the three types of offers, right? Any questions you can ask, right? Next, now in this subject, the law subject, that you have when you write your answers in your exam paper, you have to remember, right? You have to explain your answer based on, right, law principles and case studies, right? I will tell this in Sinhala also for the benefit of the others, right? Ogullo law niti ප්‍රශ්න පත්‍රයට උත්තර ලියනකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ උත්තරය පැහැදිලි කළ යුත්තේ නීති මූලධර්ම සහ නඩු තීන්දුව ආශ්‍රයෙන්. That is very important, right? So when we examine papers, right, we see, right, people, students, they write lot pages, but very poor answers because they have not described, they have not analyzed the answer based on law principles and based on case studies. So remember, this is law paper. So the law paper that you can't write history, literature, no, right? Purely based on the law principles and case studies that you have to write your or explain your answer. So for this offer, there is a case that you have to remember, right? So last week also we studied under the sources of law, we studied several cases. Under this contract law, the offer, right, to whom the offer can be addressed. This case is very important, very, very important, right? Carlill versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. Case, it's an English case decided in England in 1893, more than 100 years old, 100 years, right? But the principle is the same. To understand the principle with regard to the offer, this is very important, right? Now we remember, you may remember, now we have three types of offers: addressed to a particular person, addressed to a particular group of people, addressed to the world at large. What happened in this case, this Carbolic Smoke Ball Company Limited, they are a company, they manufactured a pharmaceutical item, a medicine. It's like a toffee, right? You know that we have, even today we have some toffees like hacks, Vicks, right? They're good for influenza, right? So this company also, they manufacture a toffee. Actually, it's a medicine, but in the form of toffee, they manufactured and they advertise this product in papers. They said this medicine, or rather this product, is good for influenza. If you take this pill or this toffee, if you consume this, you will not get affected by influenza. That is 100% guarantee. If after you consuming this product, if you get influenza, right? We are ready to give you £100. That was their advertisement, right? £100 in 1893 is a big amount, big money, big money. So what happened? This lady, this old lady, Carlill, Mrs. Carlill, she saw this advertising, right? Advertisement, and she didn't bother about the advertisement, but she took this medicine because she thought that it's good for influenza, and she consumed it, and she got influenza. After consuming the medicine, still she got affected by influenza. So then what happened? She claimed the money. She said, you have promised £100. Now see, I got your medicine, but still I am affected by influenza. So therefore you have to pay me. Pay me. Company refused to pay. Company refused to pay. So they had an argument. They had two arguments rather. They said, we have made offer. We have made offer, yes. But we have not made the offer to Mrs. Carlill. It is not addressed to Mrs. Carlill. So therefore, Mrs. Carlill can't accept my offer, our offer. Right? You remember, if an offer is addressed to a particular person, that person has to accept it. So they said this promise is not addressed to Mrs. Carlill. So therefore, Mrs. Carlill can't accept it. So even she accepted, there is no agreement there. So therefore, she can't ask money. That's one argument. The other argument that we are going to study later, right, that related to consideration or that rather intention, right? They said this is not a serious offer. It's not a serious offer. We didn't have the intention to bind ourselves legally. It's a simple advertisement. So therefore, you can't take it seriously. But what happened? Those were their arguments. But what was the decision of the court? Court said, held, right? The promise to pay £100 was a valid offer to the world at large. Now see, right? There are three types of offers. You can make offer to a particular person. You can make an offer to a particular group of people. You can make an offer to the world at large. So the court decided, right, the way that the company has made the offer, it is not an offer to a particular person. It is not an offer to the particular group of people, but it is an offer to the world at large. World at large. So therefore, you remember, if it is an offer for the world at large, any one person in the world can accept it. So Mrs. Carlill has accepted it. So she has an agreement with the company. So therefore, the company was bound to pay £100. She got the money. So that is the case. So this is very important. This case is very important with regard to the offer. To whom an offer can address. To whom the offer can be addressed. Right? So that is the court decision. Any questions up to now? Any questions? If you have questions, you can mark the questions, then you can ask. When I ask, if you have questions, you can ask, right? So far no questions then? Okay, then I'll go to the next one, right? We'll see now, still we are in offer, right? What are the requirements of a valid offer? What are the requirements of a valid offer, right? The offer has to be clear and definite. Clear and definite. Pahadili saha avasanatmak. That is the first condition. The offer, when I make an offer, that's a promise. capable of acceptance, that promise should be clear and it should be definite, sthira. Example, a statement that a person may sell one of his cars for about 5,000 will not constitute an offer. For example, we say, right, I have 3 pens, right? I have 3 pens, blue, black, and red, right? I make an offer like this. I will sell one of these pens for about 50 rupees. For about 50 rupees, right? That looks like an offer. Looks like an offer. It's a promise. Definitely, it's a promise. So I say that I will, or I shall pay, or I may pay, I may sell one of these pens for 50 rupees or about 50 rupees. Now, is it clear? When you hear this statement, are you clear that which pen that I am going to sell? Or am I going to sell all 3 pens? Not clear. It's not clear. Offer is not clear. And then what about the price? I say about 50. We are 50 liter. Is it clear? Is it definite now? It is not definite. Right? Not definite about the price. So therefore, this communication, this promise is not a valid offer. It's not a valid offer. Right? The first condition of a valid offer, it has to be clear, it has to be definite. Clear, everyone? Okay, next one, next point, offeror should have the intention to be bound by the offer. Offeror, that's me. I make the offer. The person who makes the offer, makes the promise, is called offer. Second condition is, when I'm making the offer, when I'm making the promise, I should have the intention to bound by a legal agreement. Legal agreements. Now think about the promises that you make every day. All these promises you don't make with serious intention. Serious intention, right? Sometimes you promise your friend, right? Okay, I'll come to see you today 6 o'clock. Right? You promise. That's a promise. Right? Other party can, or we can say, okay, we'll meet you, we'll have a drink. Then the other party accept. Okay, you come. I will prepare meal. So the other party, now they have prepared meal, your friend, right? And waiting for you, you won't come. That's a promise that you made and the other party accepted it. But still, that promise we don't consider as an offer, because when you make the offer, or rather that promise, you don't have the intention to create a legally binding effect or legally bind yourself with your friend. You don't think that even you breach or even you don't perform your promise, that he will go to courts and file action against you. Right? So the second point is the offeror should have the intention to be bound by his own promise. That is the second important point or the requirement of a valid offer. Third one, third requirement, made to a person or group of persons or to the world at large. So we have already discussed that. If I am the offeror, I have to make the offer to a particular person by name or by definite method that you can identify the person. or to a group of people or to the world at large. So that is the third. Next one, the communicated by the offeror to the offeree. If I am the offeror, I have to communicate my offer to the offeree, Unless and until I communicate my promise to the offeree, the offer is not valid. Now, for example, right? I can have an offer, I can have a promise, and I don't communicate to the other party. Right? So if it is not communicated to him that this offeree, my offer is not valid. If I communicate the offer to a wrong party, the communication is wrong, there is no offer. Right? Just a promise, but it is not an offer. Offer is a legal term. It's a legal term to the promise, acceptable promise. Right? So if it is not communicated to the relevant person, that is the offeree, then there is no valid offer. Right? The case I have given here, R versus Clark. Right? What happened in this matter? The government, Western Australian government, offered free pardon to a partner in a crime. So what happened here? There were a bunch of people. They act together as a group. They committed crimes. The government couldn't find them, so the government announced, right? If you are a member of this group, if you come and give evidence on behalf of the government to catch other criminals, the government will give you a pardon. So you will be not punished. Based on your evidence that we will catch the others and we will punish others. Well, what happened here? This is an advertisement, or rather an offer made by the government, Western Australian government, to a group of people. What is the group? This criminal groups, crimes, right? Criminals. So then what happened? This Clark is one of the member of this gang, right? So he provided the information. He said, okay, in our group we have me, Clark, and Michael, likewise, right? Sean, all these are there. So we committed these crimes. So then, based on his information, police caught the other criminals. Then what happened? At the time Mr. Clark provided this information to the police, he didn't know about this pardon. So the offer made by the government was not actually communicated to Clark. Right? But however, he voluntarily made the information available to the police. Based on the information, police caught the others. Now, later, Mr. Clark got to know that there is a pardon like this. Then he said, okay, I have now provided you the information. So therefore, give me pardon. You have pardoned me. So what was the argument of the government? Government said, right? We have made the offer, but the offer has not been communicated to you. At the time that you gave this information to us, you were unaware about this pardon. So therefore, it has not been communicated to you. So you have not accepted our offer. So he couldn't get the pardon because of that. So that is the other important point that you have to remember, right? Offer has to be communicated to offeree by the offeror. Right. The next point, right? Next point, point number 5, open when it is accepted. That is the other point that you have to remember, right? At the time of acceptance of the offer should open. Or in other words, offer should be in force, right? So must still be in force at the time when the offer is accepted, right? Once I make an offer comes to end. Before it comes to end, the offeree has to accept it. Offeree has to accept it, right? So at the time of acceptance, the offer must be open, right? Any questions up to now? Again, I'm checking with the students. Can you hear me and can you see me? Please respond to me.
Yes, sir.
Clear? Pictures, notes, everything is clear?
Yes, sir.
Right, thank you. Okay. Right. Okay, we'll go to the next one then. Okay, we'll further discuss the point number 5. That is, offer should be open at the time of acceptance. Right. Now, when I say this, the question is, when I make an offer, is it valid forever? If I am the offeror, right? Is it, if I make an offer is a promise. Is it valid forever? Won't it come to end? Right? Think like this, right? Say you are when you at your school time, right? Think a boy, right, is interested in a girl, right? He asks, right? I like you, right? Would you like to marry me? Not at the school time, after school, right? That after you left the school, right? That's a promise. That's a promise. Now, how long that promise is open or valid? Right? So now, say now you make the offer at the A-level class, right? So then no answer, right, from girl, no acceptance. Then you both left the school, entered into the university, right? No answer. You left the university, right? No answer. You got married, right? After another 15 years, that girls come and say, I remember that you make an offer, right? 20 years before. So I am now accepting your offer. By that time, you may marry, right? So the question is whether when you make an offer, once you make an offer, is it valid forever? Is it valid forever? The answer is the offer is not valid forever. Offer comes to end. That's why the point number 5 says here, when you accept, the offer must be open. Offer must be in force. So then the next question is, at what point, when the offer comes to end? Right? So that you have to design like this, right? When we are making an offer, we can make the offer, we can clearly indicate in the offer itself how long the offer is valid. Now, for example, we say, if I am the boy, I say, right, I would like to marry you. I like you. I would like to marry you. If you like, give me your answer, that means acceptance, within weeks time. Satiyak ඇතුළත කියන්න. So my offer is clear, it's definite, and the time also given. the offer is valid only for 1 week. If it is not accepted within 1 week, offer comes to end. Offer comes to end. Right? So then we say now, okay, this boy make an offer. Right? He said within weeks that you have to accept. Right? He said, okay, next Saturday when you come to class, give me an answer. So the offer is valid for 7 days. Unfortunately, the next week, government put curfew. So parties didn't meet. So what happened now? Offer is not accepted. There is no agreement. So what I want to tell you here is, if offer indicates a certain period, that after expiry of the period, the offer comes to end. That is the one point that you have to remember. Right? Then the question is, if the time expiry date is not mentioned, what is the situation? Is it valid forever now? Right? Is it valid forever? No. The answer is no. Then when it comes to end, the next question. Right? If the time, open time, or rather expiry date is not mentioned in the offer comes to end within a reasonable time. Right, everyone? You have to remember, you have to note down this. If the expiry date is mentioned in the offer is valid only during that period. After that, offer is null and void. Right? If the time limit is not mentioned, though the expiry date is not mentioned in the offer, then the situation is offer comes to end after a reasonable time. Now, how do you decide the reasonable time? What is the reasonable time? Right? It is not defined. It's not defined. Right? Not mentioned in any act or any enactment or any place. Parties has to decide the expiry date, or what will decide the expiry date of the offer based on the nature of the offer. Right? For example, say I make an offer to sell a car. Right? I say I have a car, I make an offer to a friend. Right? I say, Nimal, I am selling my car, so I will sell my car for 5 million to you. That is offer, but the time period that the offer is open is not mentioned. Now the offer comes to end within a reasonable time. What is the reasonable time is not mentioned in anywhere, not decided. The court will decide. So that means that Nimal can't wait another 2 years and come and say that, okay, I will buy your car for 5 million. Right? That is unreasonable. Time is unreasonable. So reasonable time might be few weeks maximum. Right? Few weeks. Within few weeks that he has to accept my offer. So otherwise I can say, okay, my offer is over. Right? Think that I have a ship. A vessel. Vessel goes in the sea. Right? So I offer that vessel or the ship to a friend. Right? I say, Nimal, I am selling my ship, my vessel for 500 million dollars. Right? That's offer. Right? The time expiry date is not mentioned. The question is, how long will it be open? Right? it will open for reasonable period. So what is the reasonable period? Reasonable period is not few weeks. It could be few years. Could be few years. You see, now selling a motor car and selling a vessel or rather ship is not same, right? To buy a vehicle that you want only 5 million. This offer, I have to the offer he has to find $500 million. So huge difference. There's a huge difference between these two offers. The second offer, that offer for the offer to sell the ship, it stands more than few months. Well, definitely it could be few years even, right? Totally depend on the judgment of the court. So whatever, so that you have to remember is, if the time limit is mentioned, in the offer letter, offer, then the offer comes to end at the expiry of the date. If the time is not mentioned, the expiry date is not mentioned, then the offer comes to end at the end of a reasonable time period. So that's the principle, right? Okay, if you have any questions that you can ask, right? Then we'll go to the next one. That is requirement for the information, request for information or invitation to trade. This is the other important thing that you have to remember. This several times this has come in the question as exam papers also, repeating questions, right? Now, offer is a promise. Offer is a statement made by the offeror to the offering, right? But there are some statements, there are some promises which look like an offer, but actually it is not an offer, right? I will repeat again, listen very carefully, right? Their offer is a promise. Promise is a statement made by one person to another person, right? So there are some statements that we made. Those statements or promises are look like an offer, but actually it is not an offer. It's not an offer, right? Sometimes we ask information before we enter into agreement. Parties are negotiating. Parties negotiate. To negotiate, you need information. You need information, right? So what do? You request information. Requesting information from other party is not an offer. Is not an offer. So therefore, it cannot be accepted. The other one is invitation to trade. Invitation to trade means, right, I invite the other party to make the offer. I am not making an offer. I say you make the offer, right? You make the offer. If the offer is good for me, I will accept. That kind of statement we categorize as, or we named as invitation to trade, right? I will explain these two with an example, then you will understand what it is, right? Take the first one, request for information. Excuse me. Right. Okay. Request for information. Take this case. Harvey versus Fazy. 1893. This is again in this case. What happened in this matter? Right. P. Right. person named P sent a telegram to person D. So what he said? He said, will you sell bumper hole pen? Bumper hole pen is a name, right? It's a name, right? We say it's a farm, right? So will you sell the bumper hole pen? And what is the lowest price? Right? P wrote to D and asked, right? Will you sell your car? What is the last price? What is the last price? Now that is on the face of the statement, you can see it is not an offer. The party is requesting information. Requesting information. Right? What are the information he asked? Two information. One, whether you sell, whether you like to sell. The second information he asked, if you are selling, what is the price? So I am asking the other party a question. It's not a promise. So therefore, other party can't accept. What happened here? Then the other party replied. The lowest cash price for the bumper hole pen is 900 pounds. So he said, right? The lowest price is 900. So that means he is willing to sell and his price is 900. What is that? I have requested information and he has provided the information to me. Right? That is the information provided by the other party to me. Is it an offer? It's not an offer. It's not an offer. Right? So then what happened here? The P, the first person, promptly sent another telegraph and said, we agree to buy bumper hole pen for 900 pounds. So he said, okay, we agree to buy. So he accepted. He said, I agree to buy the bumper hole pen for 900 pounds. Then what happened? This next, the sale never went ahead. So the other party didn't say anything. So other parties sold the bumper hole pen, the farm, to somebody else. Then what happened? D filed action against, sorry, P filed action against D. Right? On what basis? Breach of contract. Breach of contract. P said, I asked him whether you are selling the property and what is the last price. He offered me, he said, now P said, he offered me the property for 900 pounds. I accepted it, but now he has sold to somebody else. That is P's story. P says like this. D say, right, he asked me a question, right? He asked me whether I'm selling my property and what is the price. I provided that information. I said 900 pounds. I have never made an offer. So therefore, he can't accept. Just information provided by me. So therefore, you can't accept. He can't. Rather, P can't accept this information. So what was the decision? Right? It was held. The first telegram was a mere request of information. First telegraph sent by P to D, it's a mere request of information. You request information. Then the second was information supplied as requested. Second telegraph sent by D to P is the reply to the first question. So that is a supply of information, not an offer. The third was the only one with the contractual meaning. So third one, that is P, sent another telegram to D saying, right, we agreed to buy pumper hole pen for 900 pounds. That was sent by P to D. That was the offer. That creates the offer. That offer has not accepted by D. So therefore, there's no agreement between P and D. So P's case was failed. That was the decision of the courts. Clear, everyone? Right? The next one is an invitation to treat. Invitation to treat. Invitation to treat also is not an offer. Not an offer. Invitation to treat means one person is requesting the other person to make the offer. Right? Say I have this pen. I want to sell this pen. Right? Instead of me making the offer, I ask you to make the offers. I say, I am selling this pen, right? If you wish to buy, give your offers. Then what is the situation? Then you have to make the offers. You are the offeror, now I am the offeree. I can accept your offers. So the class can make offers. Everyone in the class can make the offers, right? I can accept one of those offers. You become the offeror, I become the offeree. That is called invitation to treat. My statement to you to make offers is called invitation to treat. Right? And intention to treat is an intention to intention to others to make. An invitation to treat cannot be accepted. So I make an invitation to you to make offers. So that is not an offer. So therefore it cannot be accepted. Right? So those are the differences between the request for information and invitation to treat. Right. I have given here some examples for invitation to treat. Now when you see this, that you will realize the difference between the invitation to treat and the offer, and information, request for information and offer, right? A shopkeeper. Now when you go to a supermarket or even a shop, right, you can see that they have displayed items and the prices also marked, right? So you enter into the shop, right? You see they have advertised the price and the goods are there, right? The question is whether that display of price is an offer made by the shopkeeper to you. The answer is it is not an offer. Not an offer. It is only an invitation to treat. That means the shopkeeper is requesting offers from the buyers, from you. Right? So you have to make the offer. You have to make the offer. So how do you make the offer? Right? Each and every time we buy something, we make the offer, right? You didn't know that, right? Now onwards you will realize, right? You are making the offer. How? You pick the goods from the shelf, you bring that goods to the counter, and you make the offer. What is the offer? You say, I am willing to buy this item for this price. Will you sell? That is the offer. I am sure no one will say these words to the teller or to the cashier, right? But that is implied. That is an implied offer. You don't tell that, but that is by conduct that you are making the offer to the shopkeeper or to the cashier. Then the cashier can accept it or reject it. So you are the offeror, you are making the offer to the cashier. Cashier is the offeree. The cashier can either accept your offer or reject your offer. So cashier can say, okay, I will accept, and he or she take the money and enter into agreement with you. Or he or she or the cashier can say, no, we don't sell this item. So what does it mean? It means that the cashier has rejected your offer, right? So don't fight with them right hereafter if they say so, because now you understand this. There is a law principle apply here. You are the offeror, you are making the offer. If you are making the offer, cashier is the offeree. Offeree has a discretion to accept it or reject it, right? So when you go to the shop, when you bring the items to the desk, at the desk you are making the offer, cashier can even reject, right? Even reject. That is at the shop, right? Shopkeepers or display of items or display of the value of the item is not an rather offer. It's a invitation to trade. Next one, advertisement. Advertisement. You may have seen advertisement in newspapers, TV, internet, everywhere that you may have seen advertisement. Advertisement are not an offer. Advertisement is not an offer. Now, for example, I can publish an advertisement to sell my vehicle. Right? I put an advertisement. I say Toyota Corolla 2004 manufactured car, red color, wood interior, 1000cc engine. Likewise, I put certain information, and I also put price also 4 million. I put the telephone numbers you may have seen. What is that? Is it an offer? It is not an offer. It is an invitation to trade. So I have invite the general public, viewers or readers to make offers. Right? You may have make offers. When you see this, when you read this newspaper or advertisement, then what do you do? Buyers call the advertiser or the seller, right? And first we ask information. Then we make the offer. Say, okay, 5 million is too high. Would you like to accept 4.5 million? So the person who read the advertisement is making the offer. He is the offeror. The person who published the advertisement, that is the seller, is the offeree. Right? He may get several calls, several offers from all over the country. So he can accept one offer from those offers. So remember, the advertisement, newspaper advertisement, TV advertisement, internet advertisement, whatever, the advertisement is not an offer. Advertisement is invitation to trade or invitation for offers. The third one, tender notice. Tender notice, right? You may have seen the tender notice published in gazettes and newspapers, right? So those tender notice are not offers. The government or the institution is now requesting offers from the public. So if you want to get a tender, right, what you have to do, you have to put your tender offer into an envelope and you have to send it to the publisher. So the publisher, out of these offers, will pick one offer and accept it. So then you create an agreement. So that's the third one that you have to remember. Tender notice is not an offer, it's only an invitation to trade. Next one, auctions. Auctions. And when you go to auction, right, the auctioneer is not making offers. He is not the person who make the offers. Who make the offers? People who participate for the auction make offers. We call it bids. Lansu. Bids. Right? He says now at the auction, if you have seen, sometimes you may have seen in films and also in television, right? When they auction, the auctioneer says, right, it's a good eraser that we are selling this eraser. We start the auction. The price, minimum price is 500. Then the crowd, they raise your hand, right? Raise their hand and say they bid, right? They say, okay, 550. Another one raise the hand and say 600. Likewise, now bids come from the audience. If I am the auctioneer, I received bids, that is offer from the audience, from the crowd. I can accept any one of these offers. So the participants in auctions, they are the offerors. I am the offeree. I am the offeree. Right? So that you have to remember. Auction, bidding in auction is the offer. Auction is, notice of auction is not an offer. So therefore cannot accept. Right? Then the next one is an offer of a shares of a company to the public. Now, there are some companies, they offer company shares to the public, right? They publish share offers to the public. So those advertisement or prospectus cannot be considered as an offer, right? That is also an invitation to trade or invitation for offers. So the public, general public, has to make the offer to the company. The company can choose to whom they are going to allocate or sell shares, right? So a share prospectus is not an offer. It is merely an invitation to trade, inviting people to make offers to subscribe for shares in the company. So the people or the general public has to make application or make offers to the company. Company can choose to whom they are going to subscribe shares. Those are 5 examples that I have given here. Those are not offers. Those are invitation to trade. Right? Okay, so far, if you have any questions, now you can ask. Anyone has any questions, any clarification you need up to now? Can you hear me? Can someone respond?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. No. Anyone has questions? Okay. No question. Right. Then I'll go to the next one. Right. Termination of an offer. Right. Now this still we are in the first part, the first element, that is agreement. Under the agreement there are 2 parts, offer and acceptance. Under that, the first part we are still discussing, that is offer. Right. Now when a person make offer, that is the offeror, when he makes the offer, right, how can the offer comes to end? How can the offer comes to end? At what point it can comes to end? Right? Sorry about that. Okay. Termination of an offer. Right. At what point the offer can comes to end? Right. The first point, by death. By death of whom? Right. If I am the offeror, that means if I am making an offer, if I die, my offer comes to end. My offer comes to end. Clear? Right? if I'm making an offer to a particular person, addressed to a particular person, right? Say I address my offer to Nimal. If Nimal die, offer comes to it. Offer comes to it, right? So first thing that you have to remember, if the offeror is dead, offer comes to it. If it is an offer made to a particular person, if that offeree is dead, offer comes to it. So comes to it means there is no offer after that, right? That's the first one. Second one, by the occurrence of a condition. Now this is a little bit complicated that you have to listen very carefully, right? I will explain this with an example, then it will be easy, right? Say I have a farm, right? Say I have agricultural land, right? I have cultivated, we say, paddy, wheat, right? I have cultivated paddy. Now you know that at the end of the 3 months time that I can harvest the paddy, right? I can get the harvest. Now we say I cultivated paddy in January, right? I am supposed to cut paddy in April, right? By March, now there's a beautifully grown paddy. So I enter into a contract with another person, that's a buyer, right? I enter into a contract with him. I make an offer to him, right? I said, I will sell all this crop for you for, we say, 500,000 rupees. I am the offerer, I make the offer. That rice miller or the buyer accepted my offer. Now we have an agreement, offer and acceptance. We have agreement. So that means when I cut my paddy in April, that I have to sell him to him, nobody else. So now March, we March, in the beginning of the March, we entered into the agreement. I make the offer by March. Right? Now what happened? End of the March, there was a flood. Right? We assume there was a flood. My crops destroyed. Paddy cultivation destroyed by the flood. Now what is the situation? I can't perform my duties if I enter into a contract, because the subject matter, the crops or the agriculture or the paddy that I offer is no more, destroyed, right? So what is that? Some condition happened, some situation happened. Because of that situation, the offer is no more value. It's no more value. If it is accepted, I can't perform because I can't give paddy in April. I can't cultivate again and give crops by April. So that is the occurrence of some incident or condition. Because of that, that offer comes to it. That is the second situation where that offer can come to it. Third one, by rejection or by counter offer. By rejection or by counter offer. By rejection, ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කිරීම. By counter offer, ප්‍රතිඅර්පණයක් කිරීම. Counter offer. Right? If the offeree reject the offer, or if the offeree make a counter offer, offer comes to it. Offer comes to it. Right? We'll say, we'll give you an example. Right? Say I have a car. I make an offer to a friend of mine named Nimal. I say, Nimal, I offer to sell my car for 5 million to you. That is the offer. Right? Nimal is the offering. Nimal says, no, I don't want to buy for that price. What is that? That's a rejection. That's a rejection. Once Nimal reject my offer is not valid anymore. Offer comes to end. Right? So that means today Nimal say, okay, no, it's not worth, 5 million is too high, so I don't want. Thanks. That's a rejection. Now offer comes to end. Then tomorrow Nimal still he wants to check. He check with his friend Kamal and ask, that guy has a car that he offered me the car for 5 million. Is it worth? Then Kamal say to Nimal, of course it is very much cheaper, right? You know that model is worth more than 6 million. Now tomorrow, after realizing it is a good deal, now can Kamal or rather Nimal accept my offer? He can't, because there is no offer. He rejected the offer, right? He rejected the offer. So therefore, there's no offer to accept now. He can't say, okay, I will accept your offer for 5 million. Then I can say, there's no offer. Offer is over. You rejected. So therefore, that's one method. The other one is counteroffer. Counteroffer means that, take the same example, right? Same example, I make an offer, right? I say, Nimal, I sell my car to you for 5 million. Nimal say, without accepting, he say, okay, I will pay 4 million. Right? I will pay 4 million, not 5 million. What is that? I made the offer to Nimal. Nimal didn't accept, but he made a counter offer to me. Now what happened? Nimal is the offeror, I am the offeree now. Right? Initial offer I made to Nimal. I am the offeror, Nimal is the offeree. Nimal didn't accept, but he in turn make an counter offer. He is now offeree, rather he is the offeror, I am the offeree now. So what happened when he make a counter offer? First offer that I made for 5 million comes to end. Terminate. Right? Say now Nimal has offered me 4 million. I say no, reject. No, I don't want to sell the vehicle for 4 million. I reject the offer made by Nimal, counter offer made by Nimal. Right? After I reject the counter offer, can Nimal accept my previous offer? He think, okay, still it is worth. So therefore, Nimal says, okay. So if you don't sell for 4 million, then I'll buy for 5 million. I will accept your 5 million offer. Is there an offer now? There is no offer. Offer comes to end when the other party make the counter offer. So that is the other method. The offer can comes to end by rejection or by termination. Sorry, by rejection or by making a counter offer. Right? Next one, by lapse of time. Expiry of the time. Right? What does it mean? Right? It means, right, when an offeror make the offer, right, he can indicate the period the offer valid. He can indicate the period the offer open, valid. Or in other words, he can mention the expiry date of the offer. For example, I can say, okay, Nimal, I will sell my car for 5 million. If you wish to buy, you have to accept within weeks. Before next Saturday that you have to accept. So that means I have indicated in my offer the expiry date. If it is indicated after lapse of the time, that means at the end of 7 days, offer comes to it. So before next Saturday, Nimal has to accept. Sunday he can't, because once the time is lapsed, offer comes to it. So there's no offer to accept after 7 days, after lapse of time. That is the fourth method where an offer comes to it. Next one, the last one, fifth one, by revocation or by cancellation. Who can cancel the offer? Offer can be cancelled or revoked by the offeror. If I make the offer, right, I can cancel my offer before the offeree accept it. Before offeree accept it, at any time that I can revoke or cancel, right? For example, I say, I offer to Nimal, right? I say, Nimal, I sell my vehicle for 5 million. If you wish to buy, you have to accept before next Saturday. Now Nimal has time till next Saturday. But before Saturday, before he accepts, at any time that I can revoke my offer. So on Wednesday, I called Nimal and said, Nimal, you know that I changed my mind. So I don't want to sell. So I revoke my offer. So I cancel my offer. So I'm not going to sell. That is the other method that an offer comes to end. So these 5 methods that you have to remember where offer can comes to end. So after expiry of the offer or after termination of the offer can't accept. So therefore, no agreement can be created on the terminated offer, right? Right. At this point, we are going to stop our lesson today. We have another 10 minutes time. You have any questions? Then you can ask the questions now. Question period or clarifications if you have. Anyone has any question, then you can ask now. If you don't have questions, I can go to the other slide. Seems to be you don't have any questions, so then I will go to the other slides since we have time, another 5 minutes or 10 minutes, right? The next one is the acceptance. The acceptance. You remember the agreement, right? Agreement is the first step or first element of the contract. Agreement means offer plus acceptance. Offer and acceptance. So this part we now already studied. All the principles apply for offer, how to make offer, who can make offer, who can accept the offer, to whom the offer can be addressed, when the offer comes to end. All these principles now we have studied or discussed. Now that part is over. Now we are going to discuss about this part, that is acceptance. Acceptance. What is an acceptance? Acceptance is unconditional consent to all the terms of the offer. This is very important. This interpretation that you have to write as it is in your exam answers, right? You can't create your own answer. This is the definition. What is the definition for the acceptance? Acceptance is an unconditional consent to all the terms of the offer. Right? You remember that offer is a promise made by the offeror to the offeree. Offeror says, right, I would like to enter into a contract under these conditions. That is the promise that he gives. Example, I would like to sell my vehicle for 5 million rupees. So in other words, I offer to Nimal, I would like to enter into a sell agreement with you for 5 million. That is my offer. Right? What is the acceptance then? Acceptance is an unconditional consent. So Nimal has to accept my offer to create an agreement. When we say Nimal accepted my offer, it means that Nimal has given his consent to my offer as it is without putting any conditions. Without putting any conditions. So example, right? We'll say like this, right? We say, I make an offer to Nimal. I say, Nimal, I will sell my car for 5 million rupees. 5 million rupees. So that is my offer. Nimal says, okay, I will buy your car for 5 million rupees, but you have to paint it before selling. Oh, that is that he accepts my offer, but with a condition. So he said, okay, I'll buy the car for 5 million, but you have to paint it. I don't like red color, that your car is red, so paint it in blue. Paint it to blue color. So that is a condition that he put. Is it a valid acceptance as per the definition? It is not an acceptance. It is not an unconditional consent. He has given his consent with a condition. If you do this, I accept. That is not an acceptance. That is not a valid legal acceptance. So it's an acceptance with a condition. So therefore, it is not a valid acceptance. So acceptance is unconditional consent to all the terms of the offer. So that means when you accept, when the offeree accepts, offeree can't accept part of the offer. The offeree has to accept the entire offer as it is without any condition. Right? For example, we say that I have a tractor with a trailer. Right? I make an offer to Nimal. I say, Nimal, I will sell my tractor and the trailer for 5 million. Right? Nimal say, okay, I'll buy for 5 million, but I will buy your tractor, but not the trailer. I don't want a trailer, I have a trailer. So therefore, I only want the tractor. Can I accept? I will accept your offer. That is not a valid acceptance because he has not accepted my offer as it is. So he has not accepted the whole offer that I made. He has accepted only part. So therefore, it is not a valid acceptance. So basically, when offeree accepts the offer, he has to accept the entire offer as it is. Sorry. And without putting any condition. That is an acceptance. Right? The offeror can require any form of acceptance. The offeror, the person who made the offer, that is me, when I'm making the offer to the offeree, I can say what form that acceptance should come. For example, I say, take this example, right? I say, Nimal, I will sell my car to you for 5 million. If you accept my offer, send your acceptance in writing by way of an email, right? So then the form of acceptance, the communication method that I have informed him, right? So then the acceptance must come in that form. So, right, for example, then the offeree can make decide the form of acceptance. Example, in writing, by post, by an email or fax or SMS. Likewise, we can mention in the offer what is the method that the acceptance should come. The acceptance is not effective unless it is communicated to the offeror. So, acceptance offeree has to communicate to the offeror. Unless it is communicated to the offeror, the acceptance is not valid. Clear? So offeree has to communicate that to the offeror. When the acceptance is communicated to the offeror, acceptance is complete. Considered it is complete, right? The silence, next point, the important point is silence is not an acceptance, right? What does it mean? Silence is not an acceptance, right? It's like this. These are the law principle applicable apply to the acceptance that you have to remember all these points, right? The last point is silence is not an acceptance. What does it mean? It's like this, right? Say I am making an offer, right? Making an offer. I say, right? Say I'm making an offer to a girl, right? I say, I like you. If you like me, right? You have to tell me before. Oh, sorry. We'll take like this, right? I make an offer to a girl and say, right? I like you. If I don't hear anything from you, if you don't say anything, I consider that you like me. Right? So that I put a condition and say that if you don't say anything, that means if you are silent, I consider that you have accepted my offer. That is not correct as per law. So that is not accepted under law. So silent is not an acceptance. If you don't accept, if you don't say anything, it considered as not accepted. If you accept it, you have to accept it and you have to communicate it to the offeror. Then it is considered as completed, right? So those are the principles applicable to the acceptance of offer. So the time is over now, 3 o'clock, right? Next week, we will start from here. Requirement of a valid acceptance. On there onwards, we are going to discuss next week. So if you have any questions next day that you can ask before the session start or even during the session, I prefer if you have any questions, time to time I ask whether you have any questions. Whether you have questions, then you can ask questions, because unless you understand the law principle, it's no point that just covering all these lectures unless you study. So therefore, please next day, if you have any questions, that you note down those questions, right, and ask the questions during the session. Thank you very much. Hope everyone listen me. So we will join next week the same time. Thank you.